Welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure to be here in this beautiful setting with all of you. This is the GIIN's fourth Investor Forum. The world has changed a lot since we began, and this community has played a positive role in those changes. We are a force to be reckoned with at a pivotal moment in our history. We come from big global institutions and from boutique firms that are deeply focused on impact. We come from international development, from philanthropic foundations, and from NGOs. We're finance people, and we're advocates for sustainable development. And in just 10 years, we've built an industry. We've engaged countless investors, and we've captured the imagination of even more people all around the world. Those are big accomplishments. But the problems we're facing today are so much bigger. We're battered by climate-related disasters. Economic inequality has led to repression and rebellion. The financial markets are volatile, and countless people feel extreme distrust for business, for government, for the media, and even NGOs. All around us, things look dire. And yet, as the great Dutch philosopher Baruch Spinoza said, fear cannot be without hope, nor hope without fear. That is the moment we're in, a moment of opportunity along with fear. People are desperate for something new, and systemic change is on the table in a way that it hasn't been for years. Our community is ready to lead that change, but we have to seize this turbulent moment. We have to be bigger and bolder. We also have to be strategic. That's why last year, the GIIN launched a 10-year plan called Roadmap for the Future of Impact Investing, Reshaping Financial Markets. It's a collective action plan to create systemic change by investing in a sustainable and inclusive world. To achieve this transformation, the roadmap has 6 categories of action, and they are: 1, strengthen our identity; 2, fix behavior and expectations; increase the number of impact products; expand education and training; develop new tools and services; and finally, change the regulatory and policy environment. If you haven't already read the report, please do. It's all about scaling with integrity, changing the system, and establishing a new status quo. As big as the impact investing market is today, $502 billion, it needs to be a lot bigger. We need to move capital at a vastly different scale, and for that to happen, we need to engage more investors. We need everyone to allocate for impact, and we need to be sure that real impact is front and center for all of that capital. Almost 50 years ago, the American economist Milton Friedman published an article that reshaped the global economy. It was titled, quote, "The social responsibility of business is to increase its profits." Friedman believed that business owners have one and only one responsibility: to increase profits without any regard to social and environmental consequences. That idea became the source code for the past 50 years of capitalism, embedded in law, in doctrine, in precedent, and in culture. But today, we can no longer afford to pay the social and environmental price of that narrow philosophy. And more leaders are catching on. 6 weeks ago, more than 180 global companies that are in the Business Roundtable committed to a new definition of the role of business, one which balances the needs of shareholders with other stakeholders, customers, employees, suppliers, and local communities. Words are obviously not the same as actions, but these global leaders are acknowledging their responsibility for the long-term impact of their decisions on all stakeholders. And that is a measure of how far we've come. We're not just building a market, we're building a movement to make impact investing the new normal and hold business responsible to all of its stakeholders, including the Earth. To do that, we need billions of people to think and act differently. If we want systemic change, and we do, if we really want to transform the role of capital, we need everyone on board. I've been thinking a lot lately about how all of us can join together as a coalition of practitioners, a force that calls for change with one voice. What is it that unifies all of us in this room? A vision of fostering widespread change. Our vision is of a world where financial markets serve all members of society, and where financial markets play a central role in solving the social and environmental challenges facing the global community. In this future, investors integrate impact into all decisions, building strong communities, a healthy environment, and a sustainable future for all people. That vision has tremendous power, but we have to support that vision with our actions. We have to become ambassadors, educating everyone we know, recruiting people to impact investing, and talking about how we align our money with our values, and inspiring people to seek a positive impact through how they earn, save, spend, and invest their money. One place where we need to put more money is behind the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. All member states made a commitment to realizing the SDGs. And still, here we are, with only 10 more years to go on this agenda, and the United Nations is sounding the alarm that we're at risk of not achieving them because of a finance gap. The UN estimates that we need $3 to $5 trillion annually to make the SDGs a reality. $3 to $5 trillion a year. That doesn't need to all come from impact investing. The public sector and civil society are essential. But it's clear that the SDGs will be unattainable if the world doesn't invest differently. We cannot afford for our capital to underperform. The stakes are just too high. We've made a lot of progress, much of it driven by the people in this room. But it's impossible to overstate the urgency of what we face. And we need to create a multiplier effect. We need to keep educating, recruiting, and most of all, building the power and reach of this movement. Changing the world is never easy. And changing the world is rarely fast. We have the fear propelling us towards bolder action. But we also have the hope strengthening our resolve to create lasting change. And we have the strategy to make that change real. And here, We have the people who can bring about our vision for a sustainable, inclusive world. Together, we can rise to the challenge of our time. Thank you.